everyone, this is Krazy, aka Why Must I Sign In. Just starting a 1 vs 1 black and white match versus Thunder. I'm not sure if he wants to do the tournament style game or if he wants to do something a little bit more mellow or silly. He's not really voting. If he doesn't vote for anything, I'm not sure if he's AFK. Really, but what it comes down to is I don't want to force him to go.
Black.
So we're in even move speed. So this is tournament style here. So since we're in tournament style, I tend to go for Skeevies. Really, my two go-tos lately have been Skeevies and Overmind. I used to kind of go for Swan just because I would kind of AFK and boost the tower and would be a little bit better there. But really, you know, in a 1 vs 1, you want to be ready for some mid-game aggression. So you want to be really ready to put out some really big heals, which is what Skeevies does, you know. Thunder here has 233 games. This is kind of a new computer for me, so I'm at 8 games on this computer. You can see your stats. I think it's stats peak. Yeah, see. So now you can see I have an 87% win rate, but I think a big part of that is people disconnecting and stuff. So I don't want to like oversell myself here. So this game you build units, which you also give you income. So you want to kind of balance getting income, which lets you buy more units, which is represented by your gas. Right now I just did income on, which is this command. Which means it's really just auto-using this crystal emitter. So this is the Gift of Freedom. It costs 200 minerals, and it gives you 6 income. So usually, like the Zergling, it's 50 minerals to 1 income. So, for example, 4 Zerglings at a cost of total of 200 minerals would give you 4 bonus income. So this is basically a 50% increase in your income acquisition. Toward the beginning of a game, it can really make a big difference very quickly. But you can't do it forever. You do at some point have to push down and try to win the game. So a lot of a very kind of common new player mistake is to really overbuy mercenaries. So these are units that are slightly stronger than you know, your Marines and whatnot and your normal Terran units, but they don't give you any income. So you have to kind of commit to say, okay, well, I think that, you know, like a Death Head is going to be worth that, you know, 150 minerals. If you want to just get, you know, like 1 Death Head as opposed to getting, you know, 1 Zergling, that's something that can make sense. Because the Death Head starts with this grenade that he can throw, the special ability which can almost clear out an enemy wave on its own. Whereas with the Reaper, it can get something like that, but you have to spend 400 minerals to upgrade it. So there's upgrades, and then there's mercenaries. But some of these other heroes, like the Skeevy, actually, have a hard time really making up for that extra cost. Now over here, these are the higher-end mercenaries, and so these guys really can make a big difference. Like a single Tosh can basically have the same stunning output as a whole group of Spectres. And so since the Spectre upgrade is, as you can see, 750 minerals, I mean, that's like half a Tosh right there, so why not just get the Tosh and we call it a day? So sometimes it definitely is worth it to get these mid-range heroes, as opposed to a group of, you know, other units, and then, you know, stick with the income some more. So as you can see, we're pretty much just both incoming up right here. You know, when exactly you start actually building units, it can be kind of a face-off, because you don't always necessarily even want to be the first to make units. Here are some custom skins that you get if you're a donator. So I am a donator. I really like this map, so I'm not using the lava skin right now. And some players can, you know, get the Canadian or the Junrin for free. But really, it's really nice to get, like, the Merkin. Or, I actually kind of like the Mycroft, too. You know, a little bit of an English fanboy. We also have, you know, the Wilson, which, you know, looks like some sort of character. I don't know, when have I seen this aesthetic before? And you have a T1, looks like an infested zealot. Pretty nice looking. It's a pretty nice looking skin right there. That's the You get, you know, the pink, the Captain Slappy, named after the donator who ordered it. This is the equivalent to a Slyvan. Slyvan used to be really like the go-to hero because, but then he got bumped up by 1,000 cost. That makes a pretty big difference. The question is, how do we want to go about initiating here? Because, you know, you want to really be doing good work with the aggression. You do want to get to a point where you can start to take the enemy towers, so you can... Basically, you take a tower, you regain 200 minerals. If you take the Perdition turret, which is actually invisible right here, you get 350 minerals. And if you take these down here, you get 500 minerals in this game mode. So you can be aggressive and regain, you know, the losses, you know, as though you were still using that income crystal, and then the enemy's down a tower, you have some units. It can be really nice. But you have it can be tricky to kind of pull it off, yeah? Let's see. It's like you can try to get the Swarmies, but then, you know, you can get a Baneling, pretty much hard counter that, but the Swarmies can still be okay if you follow them up with something else, you know, grab it an Aberration, get some Queens. This is what I'm kind of thinking about doing here. One thing that one of the other players I've been with lately has been, you know, to follow it up with a Widowmine. Widowmine doesn't really synergize with Banelings very well, though, and, you know, especially if I do plan to get some Banelings and get the Baneling up, I'm not sure if I'm going to skip the Widowmines here. Another unit that I'm really kind of mixed about is Hydra, which I used to think was total garbage. Really a very weak unit overall for the cost efficiency. But I've seen it put to good use. I might try it out this game. We are getting to that point where I'm really starting to seriously think about getting some units here. But, you know, it's not like a rush, because the other guy's not getting units either. He's very confident in his abilities. I'm trying to remember, I think Thunder sometimes goes for this, this Thor build. But I'm pretty sure I will have an easier time countering that than I had in the past. You know, just go heavy air really is the solution to a Thor build. So, I mean, now it's like as though we income rush, right? So it's like, you know, you waste 11 minutes if you don't do the income rush, and you're just going to do a face-off with income, which is why I really think Thunder should have just voted for the income. But to give us a chance to kind of just explain some of the basic principles of how this map works, the pros and cons of certain units. So pretty soon here, we're going to see some things in action. Let's go ahead and stop the income. I'm going to start off with some Swarmies. I'm going to presume he's going to actually counter the Swarmies, I think, and follow up immediately with an Aberration and a Queen. And then maybe grab an Impaler. Maybe grab that or a Reaver. Reaver damage output. 6 speed, 50. Impaler is to a tower 20 at 1.81. So the Impaler, even at this stage, is actually a little bit better on the tower. But in overall damage output, the Reaver is definitely better. Don't want to forget to grab those Swarmies. Maybe I should have gotten the Isles. They do look just a little bit nicer, but I got the conventional Swarmies. And so that's going to start us off. Hopefully I'm not going to be getting the stuff too early that he's going to just manage to sit there and income, let me try to whale at the tower, but not actually push through. That's always the concern here. That's the risk of starting the units too early, is that the opponent will just grab some more income, you know, maybe even let their first tower go, but still be up enough that they end up winning the game. You know, one thing to do here is actually just grab a Death Head. It's a little bit risky. It is aggravating the mineral usage I'm dumping into this early attack, but the Death Head is one of those units that can really work down a tower. you know, maybe this is a question I've often asked myself: is, you know, in which situations is it better to get the Death Head versus getting like an early Ultralisk? Let's go ahead and grab our Queen. And then we're going to follow up with, what are we going to follow up with? Maybe another Queen. While we try to decide what further to advance into. See, he drops this G4 cluster bomb. That does some damage on the turret. Now, the question you have to ask yourself here is does it make more sense to grab some income, presuming I will get this turret, which will make up for the investments I've already put into it? Or should I continue with the aggression, try to force him into a point where he's going to have to defend the Perdition turret? And that is a tricky question. It's a very tricky question. Could grab an Atrax and continue aggression. And now, you know, he's continued with the income. I'm now down 26. Grab this. Then I can, you know, grab some incomes, try to make up a little bit, while I'm doing work on the missile turret. Yeah. And that's kind of there's risk and reward in early aggression. Yeah. That's what makes this game fun and challenging, even though it can kind of feel, you know, a little bit boring. That's really one of the reasons I advocated early on for the income rush, and Sunjan thankfully added it. But, you know, it takes the players to take advantage of it, you know. If they want to sit there and just be AFK and not get the income rush, then they're going to waste 10 minutes of the game, yeah? I'm getting caught up in looking at things. Just turn on income until I see some sort of response from this guy. I mean, are there things I could add that would further accelerate the aggression, further accelerate the takedown of this Perdition turret, without really putting me at a huge amount of risk for some sort of hero rush comeback nonsense? So he hasn't even bought regeneration for it. He hasn't gotten any units. So he's pretty much just willing to at least let this turret in front of the Perdition die. We'll see if he starts to defend before the Perdition drops. The tower isn't dropping quite as fast as it could. You know, I could put in some further aggression here. But what should that aggression be? You know, the eternal question. Could grab, you know, a lot of options here. Protoss is 9 range as well. He has not gotten even a range upgrade. That is actually an option. Ah, he finally got region at least. Let's go ahead and grab just one Ravasaur. See if that forces him to grab a range. You know, if I grab a Ravasaur, he grabs a range. That's really kind of a favorable exchange. And then we can go back to income. Did he grab a HP up? No, he didn't. It's just kind of letting that tower get beaten down. So we got the Ravasaur coming now. Should we add something else here? There's a lot of options. I've gotten just Zerg units so far. Started to get Protoss. Now, our Archons with those support for them can be a really frustrating thing to deal with. Did we set in mind yet? So he might actually be able to. It's going to help him defend the tower a little bit, having the Reaper's mine go down. But now I have the Ravasaur up. Ravasaur is going to be able to sit here and wail at this thing. He's working on more Archons. So the question is, do I want to stay with Zerg, try to really work out the Zerg Or do I want to try to do something a little different? Okay. Grab one Broodlord. That can be a sort of no, I want to get it first. There we go. It's almost down. Hopefully. Oh, one more hit would have done it. I'm not going to get minerals for that, though, which is why I'm still trying to get back up on income. The thing here is that, you know, I could actually go Ultralisks, and Archons don't really counter Ultralisks. So, if he continues to focus on this Archon plus Preserver build, then he's going to start really hurting. But, you know, he could alternatively start going into Immortals, which would be a slightly stronger response, but still not overwhelming in its ability to deal with Tarrasque. Tarrasque is a pretty strong unit overall. Especially if I can...
Standing by.
Next time I might drop my R. Oh, I was supposed to income. I took a little bit there. Do I have Tarrasque on? Yeah, I have Tarrasque on, but I need to kind of be alternating these incomes.
Is it critical?
Oh, I didn't quite get it. It's going to give them a little bit more time to get through, but I'm going to drop my R this time. That's going to give this wave a big chance to push through.
Oh, that's a serious aspect.
So with this Tarrasque and an Atrax pushing through with the Ravistar and the Broodlord, I should be able to at least drop this turret. I'm not going to make too much progress on the traditional turret itself. Oh, come on. Alright. Wow, it's actually going to stay up even longer. That's annoying. He's still up on income. Stake of Tonnage is messaging me right now, giving me information about anecdotes that he has been a part of. I'm gonna finish the story. His waves are still going fast enough that I'm clearing the wave, but not pushing through to actually destroy the annoying turret. So overall, this early aggression hasn't really quite paid for itself yet, which is annoying. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the, usually when I am at 5 units, I grab the upgrade for the unit. Tarrasque, it's 1,000 minerals. It's not cheap, but it's really worth it. Snake is annoyed because he got misled by his Team Fortress 2 game. Continuing on with Tarrasque, I can pretty much just ignore these Phoenix until he has something in the air or something invisible that makes me need to respond to it. I mean, maybe I should grab an Observer here or something, but... really, I mean, all it's doing is 600 minerals to counter a 600 unit Broodlord. It's not even doing that all that well. So now we drop the turret, now we're advancing on the tradition turret, and he's getting pushed back, so that's where we kind of want to be right here. he is starting to come out with Immortals now. But really, sometimes Tarrasques will kind of get ahead of Immortals. Especially if I can get out some further healing. So I can continue to drop some Queens once I kind of get my satisfied amount on these guys. It probably was kind of pointless to find that one, but yeah, I'm going to queue up these guys. They're diving in right when they're inside the turret, so they're not really getting everything out of this that they could. Oh, and I can follow up with Ravasaur. Mass Ravasaur is a hard counter, actually, to Immortals. So once I have just a few more of these guys, I'm going to get some Queens, and then I'm going to transition into Ravasaurs pretty soon here. Let's go ahead. Actually, some Queens as well. Just doing a little bit better against this wave, but all he's doing is kind of slowing me down, so that then I should, I think, end up hitting his next wave when I'm really very forward with jumping there. See, this is the attack behavior, it's very strange. But he is ahead on minerals, on income, a little bit more than he was before, so that's concerning. Probably because of my big Ultralisk upgrade. But let's keep at this. Okay. Get some Queens until we kind of hit 500 minerals and we can really pump out the Ravasaurs. So Mass Ravasaurs is gonna he's gonna have a hard time dealing with that on top of the Ultralisks. Because Ravasaurs just devour Immortals, really. Going just to eat here. Let's see if I can get my Immortals to do some more work. Ah, he started some Void Rays. But Ravasaur's, he's gonna get a little push here. I should go ahead and switch to Ravasaur now. Because I'm gonna want at least 5 Ravasaurs before I get the upgrade. But in the meantime, he might get enough Void Rays to kind of deal with my Queens. Queens don't really deal with upgraded Void Rays really well. But we are continuing to push on. We're not making much progress on the Perdition turret though, so, just being down on minerals thing, being down on gas, being down on income is a very serious concern in a 1-1. It's almost like you're losing, even though it seems like I'm pushing, if you don't to the point where you're countering the wave, making some sort of meaningful advance, and destroying the tower. Even if I got the Perdition right now, that wouldn't make up for the difference in our economies. But if I'm hard countering all his units and he doesn't have a way to respond to me very well, then it won't matter if he's, up on minerals, if ultimately my army is stronger, yeah? Until we get into the late game. Okay, so after I get enough Ravasaurs to really be doing work, if I'm not just pile driving into his turrets here, I might go ahead and get some income from that point, try to get a little bit caught up. And I think it's dangerous for him when I'm pushing in on this Perdition turret like this for him to really stop producing units. So he shouldn't be advancing on income on me very much. Now I have 7 Ravasaurs, which is a good point to get the Ravasaur upgrade. You don't want to stop at 7, but you do want to continue on. And he's getting some Mothership cores. That doesn't really mess my plans up very much. If he was getting Tempests, that would be a bit more of a concern, but if he was getting Tempests, I could just spam Corruptors and deal with air and get some Sierras. There we go. Ravasaurs, and now we can kind of split. Yeah, this is nice. Some incomes. Ooh, Reavers. Reavers don't actually do all that well against Jurassic, though. But look at that income difference. Man, that's a problem. That's a big problem right there. I mean, I have a much stronger army at the moment, but he is well ahead of me on income. But he could, I mean, he's showing the signs of someone who's just going to be too greedy this game. Maybe. That's the hope. I mean, I don't know. This is a messy situation. Doesn't really have any invisible units to take advantage of my completely ignoring the air. I mean, maybe he's planning to drop like a Arcanus or something. Be a cheesy invisible person later, but the guy seems to be mostly just focusing on fighting me on the ground. So you see that the Ravagers really just wreck these Immortals. So his wave is having a really hard time dealing with mine, but the question is, will it be enough to really push in and start destroying these towers before he manages to take advantage of his income advantage? That's nonsense. Ravens. Yeah, that's a pretty good counter for Ravagers as well. So he's trying to kind of transition to an aerial build, which ultimately will be able to counter that, but there are ways to deal with Ravens as well. Fortunately, his Archons are spawning on top of my Ravagers. It's not generally what you want. Then we're going to go and stop Rabosaurus. Can have some more queens. Pretty unit. Almost like him to be going back to Jurassic even. It's kind of funny. I mean, they're pushing people, staying alive. I mean, if the fast manage to stay in here and actually put down these turrets, and that's not a bad thing. Ooh, that's enough queens. Basically, you know, you're trying to get to about 1,000 minerals. That's generally my rule. And at that point, you can pretty much just spam heroes until the end of the game and try to win that way. A lot of people try to advance to 1250 income or something like that, and a lot of the time they get so greedy that they lose the game before they can take advantage of their income. But usually, I'm like kind of ahead on income by this point. I haven't really done this particular build that many times. And maybe my early game aggression was a little bit too early, it's entirely possible. But, you know, we are making some progress on these turrets. So that's a good sign. He's getting a lot more in the way of Immortals, which my Rabosaurs are already prepared to deal with, but look at that income difference. That's still a big problem. Almost at... When you get to 16 Jurassics, I generally stop there.
Standing by.
Do my E now. Get some W's.
You rang.
It's a big wave coming. It's a big stack. Maintaining aggression, trying to get this tower down. He has 17 seconds on his wave timer. My Tarrasques approached the towers in kind of an erratic fashion, so they didn't do quite as much as they could. And my Ravagers got down here this time, and we're going to drop this turret. And now we still have some stuff here left to get back on. Stop as many W's as we can. Putting out a few more various things trying to deal with the Ravagers. Stop Tarrasque. And then just get some upgrades here. Considering I'm still pure Zerg, probably should do that at this point. Probably should have actually done it a little bit earlier. He's trying to burst up to 1,000 income, really. Whoa, carrier. There's going to be more carriers than that. And actually, carriers are going to have diminishing returns as soon as they get out of Stukov. Okay. So this is kind of that moment I was talking about. I'm about at 1,000 minerals. I'm going to get a few more, so then I'm at 500, and then so I just kind of have this sit at 500, and then when I get enough for Stukov, I can drop him. I think I'm going to get him in for the next wave. He's really trying to put out the units now, trying to take advantage of his income, yeah? Trying to deal with the pump out those immortals, deal with the Trasks as best as he can, despite the Rhinosaurus. And have Stukov. Yeah, this is all the Archons. He's at 2-1. You can go ahead and grab one of each here. Question is what do I make it for the so now these have 8 armor. It's versus Archons, it's not really a huge benefit. And I'll dive in. Drop some W's here and there. Try to hit him up. Stukov and the Ravasaurs moving in.
I always did look better in
I
purple.
have to jump back in more. Right. Grab
Upgrade complete.
another orc.
Upgrade complete.
It's really going to do it versus these carriers and Archons. Man, there's just so much crap right there. It's like, what do we have here? Maybe a Carrion? Can I get Carrion in this jumbo? So now I'm dealing with pushing back a little bit. Not because I have enough pinkiness to deal with some of it. So we have an axe right now. I'm going to have enough for us.
Need help, sir? Just
Nope.
fascinating.
But I am going to have enough, I think, for a Kerrigan next wave. So Kerrigan is going to give a lot of his units kind of
Why
irrelevant.
does it hurt?
This is a very tricky time, because his wave is very different than mine. And so he's just continuing to really spam Archon Immortal. I'm going to be really disappointed if I can't beat Archon Immortal spam, but it, pure Protoss is very strong. It's not a bad idea to go that kind of route. But hero spam usually should be able to defeat it. Will it defeat it this game? Find out. So we can actually get 4 of that over here.
Complete.
Yes. Then what we can really kind of do here is think about bringing in more on Kerrigan. the more abilities she has, the faster she can reach herself. I have an E, and drop some W's on random stuff here. Need to try to build up Pot's carry. Maybe I'm tempted to actually go for Apocalypse because he has a lot of units that are stacking on top of each other. Or I could not do that, grab an attack pistol. So he's way up on income, but I have so many heroes that ideally I should be able to push through and kill him before he can capitalize on what is now a 600 income advantage, and he's just trying to spam all these units. And, it can work, but he needs something to deal with the heroes that I have, I mean, at this point, Hatsukiri and Carry are dealing with a lot of stuff down here, and they are putting in work, Like, I mean, this is not going to be enough of a way to deal with what I got. He goofed. Look, I mean, he just boosted Carry again. Look at this. This should be the game right here. I'm just gonna steamroll over all this, walk up into his turret and laugh in its face, turn to the tower, and GG. That's it, folks. That's how you do it. So that was a 1 vs 1, a solid Zerg build versus a solid Protoss build. Now, I think he could have won that if he really transitioned in just a little bit of hero control. I think I misplayed early in the game, and he really capitalized it in terms of income advantage until the mid-game. But in the late game, he fell apart. He didn't get even an Uran, he didn't get a Zera tool, he didn't get anything to deal with my hero output. He ignored the fact that my Kerrigan was getting really buffed up. The more buffs you put into Hot's Kerrigan, the more reward there is for controlling her, for getting a Mar, for getting anything that's going to keep her out of the picture. Even a Dahaka would have made some sort of difference here, but he just focused, okay, I'm going to get all pure Protoss normal units, no heroes, and try to win through sheer mass. But, Kerrigan walks up, drops her AoE damage, she's going to make all those carriers pretty much irrelevant. So hopefully you learned something about what I regard to be a fairly fun, very mellow tug-of-war map, black and white on the Starcraft 2 arcade. If you enjoyed what you saw, I hope you'll think about subscribing, and I will see you guys later.